Hey everyone, so here we have a hair and self-esteem survey that I conducted on behalf of majority of the Tuskegee University students, but the survey was open to outsiders as well. The name of the survey was called Hair Talk. Now, analyzing our data, we had about 3 different bivariate relationships and 2 different multivariate relationships. In the report, you can find graphs and tables that correspond. Basically, what we were trying to find out is how hair types affect self-esteem on majority of the African American community. My hypothesis was that individuals with more coarse hair types and more kinkier strands of hair would have lower self-esteem. Now, the only reason why I said that they would have lower self-esteem is because society definitely puts judgment and degrades things that are not what they consider to be in at the moment, such as silky, wavy hair that is more preferred to the average person over more kinkier and more rough grades of hair. And sometimes that can be very hard for female individuals to deal with. That is, self-image is a huge factor for women. Our look is a lot. So what other people have to say about that does affect us in some ways, whether most want to admit it or not. The methods we used in retrieving all this data was, a survey was conducted, so we had to come up with a bivariate relationship. We had to analyze variables and values in which we would conduct our survey based on. Our survey was then put together, a code book was then filed, and all of the data in which we retrieved from the questionnaire was then input into SPSS, in which we could take those values and variables, run them, produce crosstabs, and retrieve our results. Here on the presentation, you can see that the one table we have here shows self-image versus hair texture. So we have a rating of self-esteem, how our respondents rated their self-esteem. Was it either very high, low, average, very low, or high? 5 ranges. And also the hair types we had for them to choose from were coarse, curly, straight, and wavy. And that is generally the types of hair that you see amongst the Black community. Now, we didn't only survey African Americans, it was open, but like I said, our survey was targeted to Tuskegee University students, and as we do know, Tuskegee University is an HBCU with majority population African Americans. Also, we are outnumbered. Women do outnumber the men on the campus, but okay. So the results here show us that there was a 2% difference between very high and high self-esteem for those who actually had coarse hair. Now, my hypothesis was wrong because actually when I ran all the different tables and all my different data, in fact, hair type did not affect self-esteem at all. Self-esteem was still high regardless of if you had coarse hair, wavy, straight, curly. Self-esteem was something that was pretty high on average between all of the data that we pulled from SPSS, running our different variables and values. Throughout all the categories, only 2.8% of all respondents that have coarse hair have lower self-esteem. So it was a very small number, like I said. Here you can also see a picture of certain different hair types, and you can kind of see the different textures and the different lengths and how they, how the hair falls, how it forms. Now, conclusion, we can see that hair texture does not influence self-esteem, nor does it influence self-image. Those were questions that were asked throughout the questionnaire as well to make sure that we pinpointed exactly what we needed to see. We asked various questions to see what the audience, to really get the true answer of what the audience was, how they really feel. That was the goal. And like we said, hair texture does not influence hair and self-esteem. 50% 15% of respondents with coarse hair had higher self-esteem, actually. The societal stigma and, what's the word that I'm looking for? The discrimination against the different hair types that are out there that are not displayed on social media is not a factor. So I thank you. My reference, all of this data, all of the variables, all the values, the results, the methods, everything came from me. So here's the reference to my survey, and I thank you for your time with Hair Talk.